Every time the automotive industry boasts about a new technology, we remember one thing: the past often did it better. There are engineering solutions that were so brilliant, so efficient, and so aesthetically pleasing that they were simply banned. Not because they were ineffective, but because they were too complex for bureaucracy, or because they challenged safety standards that were decades behind the times. Today, we are taking a trip back through history, in reverse order, from the most daring designs to the most indestructible engines. Get ready to discover 15 automotive innovations so good they should have never been prohibited. We start with impractical charm. The external seats, often referred to as a chair in the trunk, common on cars from the 1920s and 30s. It was pure style and eccentricity. But modern safety delivered the final verdict: zero protection in a rear-end collision. Current regulations simply do not allow this creative madness anymore, turning the rumble seat into a cartoon relic. The pure sound of the V8, the roar of the engine. Half the experience of the muscle car and the hot rod was the noise. Open exhausts and straight pipes were a cultural symbol. However, rigorous noise limits, such as the famous 95 decibel rule in California, have made many of these classic configurations illegal for street use. The result? Faster cars, but for many enthusiasts, soulless ones. The glow of the Fast and Furious era. Neon lights under the car became a trend in the 90s and 2000s, but they quickly fell into the regulatory crosshairs. Many states banned specific colors and continuous lighting to avoid confusion with emergency vehicles. What was merely aesthetic turned into a regulatory war target. This is proof of bureaucratic sluggishness. Smart LED headlights that carve the beam of light to avoid blinding the driver ahead have existed in Europe for years, but in the US, outdated legislation mandated fixed high-low beams. A superior technology for night driving safety was blocked for decades and was only widely released in 2022. In the 50s and 60s, the future seemed to arrive with a jet noise. The Chrysler Turbine car could run on kerosene, diesel, or even vegetable oil. It was the ultimate multi-fuel engine, smooth and with low vibration.
That's the Turbine.
But issues with NOx emissions, high production costs, and the difficulty of homologating such a radical vehicle buried the project. A promising technology was erased from history before it even began. The immortal engine. The old Mercedes OM617, or the first diesel pickup engines, were simple, durable, and adjustable with a wrench. They ran hundreds of thousands of miles without complaint, but the quest to reduce NOx and particulates required electronic management, DPF filters, and complex systems. Modern diesel is cleaner, but the legendary simplicity and durability became practically illegal. Lightness, simplicity, and an excellent power-to-weight ratio. DKW, Saab, and Trabant tried to make the two-stroke engine work in cars. The crucial problem? Smoke. Burning the oil-fuel mixture generated too much pollution, making it impossible to comply with modern emission standards. A pure engineering solution was extinguished by environmental regulation. Tetraethyl lead was the doping that allowed 60s V8s to achieve ultra-high compression and brutal power. The problem, of course, was that lead is an environmental and neurological poison. The final ban in 2021 marked the definitive death of the simple, gigantic, and ultra-compressed V8 engine model that relied on that chemical additive. For decades, the bumper was a chrome steel bar that withstood knocks, polished up well, and lasted. What replaced it? Painted plastic, which dents and costs a fortune to fix. The ban is not due to aesthetics, but to the environmentally toxic hexavalent chromium plating process. Style and durability were sacrificed for the sake of health and the environment. Brilliant simplicity. These small triangular glasses created a perfect airflow without the gale force wind of a fully open window. But with the advent of mandatory air conditioning, noise regulations, and new structural safety requirements for doors, this efficient mechanical solution disappeared. Seen on Japanese classics, these mirrors mounted on the front fenders reduced the blind spot and required less head movement from the driver. A simple, functional solution. What killed it? American rules began to require that the mirror be adjustable from inside the car, making the fender layout unviable for mass production. Better engineering defeated by a regulatory detail. The panoramic cockpit of the 1960s with A-pillars as thin as a pencil. Visibility was crystal clear, but the era of crash tests and rollover resistance standards mandated the use of massive, reinforced pillars. Safety increased dramatically, but in exchange, we gained the huge blind spots we have today. Aerodynamics, style, and personality. The headlight that popped up was the symbol of sports cars, but modern pedestrian safety standards required the car's front end to be more friendly in the event of impact, banning rigid, protruding surfaces on the hood. The ban was in practice, not in law, turning the pop-up into a design legend. Citroën, Ford, and others explored square, asymmetrical, or fixed-hub steering wheels in pursuit of ergonomics and better panel visibility. Creativity was the rule, but the mandatory advent of airbags, FMVSS 208, required the module to be centrally positioned in a rigid and predictable location. This killed experimentation and standardized the circular format we know today. And at the top of the list, the greatest bureaucratic failure. The Tucker 48 and the Citroën DSSM had headlights that mechanically turned to illuminate the curve, a brilliant safety solution in the 40s and 50s. But in the US, the sealed beam law and headlight limitations prohibited this technology for decades. The result? An innovation that had existed for more than half a century was only widely released to the market in 2022. What we learn from these 15 innovations is that progress does not always follow a straight line. Often, it is derailed by slow laws, by fear of the new, or by necessary sacrifices in the name of ecology and safety. Today, we drive cars that are undeniably safer and cleaner, but we have lost the crystal clear visibility, the immortal simplicity, and the bold design that made the car a piece of art and engineering. And now, the million-dollar question. If you could bring back just one of these banned innovations, which would it be? The roar of the open exhaust, the visibility of the thin A-pillars, or the genius of the directional headlight? Comment below. And if you enjoy diving into the history of cars the industry tried to erase, subscribe to remember that car.